What's up, Commandos? Welcome back to the Creature Commandos Podcast here on DC Studios Podcast. I'm your host, Andy B, as always, and joining me as always is Lip, Phil, depending on what you prefer. How are we doing today, Lip?
Great. Same as ever. Can't
Ha-
complain.
There we go. And as you guys can see, we were joined by a very special guest, and it's I have some time to make up for because if you follow the Penguin podcast, you know that our good host Vanessa and this gentleman right here, they chatted about Penguin for an episode that I was supposed to be on, and my body just gave out. So this is time to make up for lost time. But it's my honor to welcome back Mr. Jedi Mike to this time the Creature Commandos Podcast. Mike, how are we doing today? Welcome.
Doing good, doing good. Happy to talk about this. The beginning of the DCU, especially good friends of mine. Really happy to talk about it, and especially this episode.
Yes, yeah, which is very funny because today it is Thursday, December 5th. So first of all, happy the DCU has now launched. We're in the future, so we talking about this, but the Creature Commander has now finally premiered on Max, the first two episodes, and. But also, we have a lot of news to discuss, and before we get to episode 4, Creature Commandos, and first of all, the review score for Creature Commander has been the early reception was very, very well. A lot of positive responses to the season. I think that what we were just talking about it before we started recording. What is the Rotten Tomato score right now for?
93.
93. There we go. And I know we all did advanced reviews. I know you two did something also together. I don't know if it was a reaction? What did you all do?
No, it was a review. It was a non-spoiler series review on my channel. But also Phil also did a review on his channel as well.
Yes.
Yeah, the comment sections were very interesting though. But yeah.
Yeah, I actually got a comment this morning. Someone called the show trash. Everything else was positive though. I was like,
yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
I was
like, hey, how you guys get the episodes early? But yet
yeah,
you don't.
okay, yeah. I
Like,
got that in my video too, and it's like okay. So the thing that people need to understand is that we all like me and Liv, for example, we do multiverse of color together. Then I'm like, you're on team JBS, and
JBS.
JBS. Shout out to them, to all those good folks over there. You have your channel. I also do my work as screeners, but people were still coming to. I think at least me and Liv's comment being like, "How y'all getting this early?" In my case, I got the insult of like, "No offense, but like your channel is like small, so how are you getting it?" I'm like, "I'm not getting it from my YouTube channel. I'm getting it because I've been a journalist for 14 years, so it's not like I'm just listen. I'm not just sitting here and just being like, give things to me, give me access. Like I'm not just like swimming in screeners. Like I still have to fight for a lot of that too. So it was just funny that like people were like." But most of the comments were positive, so
ignorance is a big thing because again, like we're in the space that how we know how we got to this position to receive screeners to be accredited as critics, and that's the thing that people don't know. But I think also the fact of like, well, your opinion doesn't matter because you don't have
you're on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, you're on Rotten Tomatoes, but then yet. Which, by the way, if you know on the back end, is extremely a long journey to get approved as a Rotten Tomatoes critic, right? But even then, as us, like we got the privilege to watch the show, is also that the fact that if we don't have that big enough following that we can't talk about it, but if our following's too small, then we also can't talk about it, right? So what is it? Is our opinion or of our audience reach? But
yeah,
anyway,
well, I feel like for Lip, for example, he makes it clear like I work for multiple color, and it's like, but people are still kind of like, how did you get this? Again, it's like people, you need to listen to what we're saying. We make it very, we're speaking English, so we're not speaking like an alien language where like it's easy to misinterpret. So, but yes, I know we, if Lep, you had you got what refreaded, what is it? Retweet on threads.
I think it's more like a repost than anything.
Repost. Yeah. How did I feel like getting? James Gunn knows who you are. He has seen you. He knows of your thoughts.
It's not the first time. I mean, on Instagram, way back when I think Peacemaker season 2 started filming, like I posed a question on one of the pictures, and I was like, how exactly are you gonna explain the retconning of the Justice League at the end of the first season? And he told me, just wait and watch the show and you'll find out. I said, okay, fine. But like when I had initially, because I was waiting on Monday to just, I had my stuff written up, and as soon as I hit send promptly at like 9 a.m., within 5 minutes, my phone's going off and just notification after notification. And like literally within those first 5 minutes, he was one of the first people to repost what I'd said. So that kind of took it off a little bit. It was pretty interesting to see that it was that immediate. It was pretty cool. I mean, not to like brag or anything, but it's not the first time that this has happened to me. I mean, I remember when back in my old Twitter days, I remember,
it's true, people. He was on Twitter once upon a time.
I'd said something really exciting about the Mortal Kombat movie, and the official Mortal Kombat page retweeted me, and that was like a pretty big thing for me. Like I had like thousands of likes and replies on my thing just because of the fact that they, retweeted what I said. And I've also like, yeah, I think that's the most recent one, but before that, I think the biggest banger I've ever had on Threads was like, it was a quote from Deadpool and Wolverine, and it was it's an early quote in the movie where Deadpool says, "There are 206 bones in the human body, 207 if I'm watching Pretty Little Gossip Girl. That's what it is."
Did you almost do Pretty Little Liars?
I almost did, yeah. And then it's a GIF of Blake Lively, and it has like 10,000 likes on it and shit, and it's just like. Oh, as soon as that joke happened in the movie, I was like, "Oh, it's because his wife is in Gossip Girl," and clearly Threads felt the same way. But yeah, it was pretty cool to see James Gunn like retweet what I had said. He liked something. He liked what you posted too about our review, our advanced review.
Yeah,
the first 2 episodes, I think.
Yeah, it was because we shared a podcast this morning, and he had liked it, so I'm like, well, James, just we there was an open invitation for you on These Serious Podcast whenever you want to come on. So no, but it was exciting. Monday was so exciting in a lot of ways, and seeing just how there was a lot of positive reception for the show, and now the journey's not begun. So but today, on the time of recording, he also released a new interview with Josh Horowitz on his Happy Sad Confused podcast, which is a great podcast if you guys haven't checked it out. But he for an interview that was supposed to was also promoting Creature Commandos, there was also a lot about DCU, and because I know we texted each other in the morning like, hey, y'all see this? And yeah, so like I know we all listened to it. Liv, what do you think we should talk about first from that interview?
It doesn't really matter to me. I mean, there was kind of a lot to go over outside of Creature Commandos. I mean, they kind of really went over like a lot of like, because the thing about Josh Horowitz, he gets kind of deep and personal in a really respectful manner. Like, it was cool to find out that, he's an animal guy. Obviously, I think that the coolest thing for me, like on a personal level, because obviously I'm of the three of us here, I'm probably the most critical of James Gunn, but like hearing Gunn talk about the origin of Batman and Spider-Man being like his favorites, I was like, oh, well, that's kind of looking in a mirror a little bit, because those are my 2 favorites, is Batman and Spider-Man. And hearing him talk about Batman and the way he did, and how, he just kind of understands that, Batman kind of operates a little bit more, personably, if the origin of who killed his parents is left ambiguously, because it just drives him more to do that, that deed every single night, go out and fight crime, even though like the one thing that haunts him is like, I will never know who killed my parents. Whereas in other iterations, obviously it's Joe Chill. So I think he's got a pretty interesting perspective on Batman, and it was also interesting to hear him say that he was not quite happy with where the Brave and the Bold and the Booster Gold scripts are. And it's like, we don't even know who's writing Booster Gold at this point. So that's a big giant question mark, or even Brave and the Bold. So it's like, well, that's interesting.
Yeah, he said that they're Booster Gold and Brave and the Bold is not where I want it to be right now, right? And it's like, and the fact that he's saying, hey, I'm not just gonna jump the gun, no pun intended. And the fact that, hey, let's just put these movies out, announce the slate, release dates, and stamp it, put it on a lunchbox, and sell it. Boom, let's go, right? No, he's not putting his universe before his characters. He's letting the characters establish who they are as we're moving along. Now, by the time they focus as they're moving on along with the year, because again, he's a working man, and much as and I think even in his interview, well, you also get a sense of his frustration. Like, hey, the internet will take one small thing I say and just kind of blow it out of proportion. Like I say, talk about lanterns being a terrestrial story. Oh no, these guys are space cops. How you gonna have Earth? I'm like, yeah, well, some of their stories take place on Earth. Doesn't mean that like they're not gonna be flying around anything, and stuff like that. He just like, we're still building out that story, and then here we got casting, we got writers, and here we go, and we're moving forward with that next year. Same thing with Supergirl. We're casting, we're moving there, and by the time we get to them and they're shooting, I can guarantee you by that time we'll probably have a little bit more progress with Brave and the Bold and with Booster Gold and other projects too. But you will want somebody who's creative to focus on what they have in front of them instead of focusing on the project they have 3 or 4 movies later, when it was like, yeah, that's a big character, but I got to focus on right here, because if this ain't working, it won't even mean nothing to get to this point, because what I'm producing right now is subpar. And I know as a fan, not just as a writer, as a director, and as a, head of or co-head of for DC Studios, I'm also a fan of that. I want to see good films out of this studio because I care, right? So, and the fact that he didn't limit himself to like, even then, like talking about Watchmen, he can acknowledge like, yeah, I love Watchmen, but I respect Alan Moore to a point where I'm not even gonna even touch that. And I'm like, and that's the level of like of care of somebody where like, oh, look at this IP, let's just go there and deal with it. Like, no, we don't need to. That's showing not only about maturity, but also like understanding the power of IP. Like, no. Things that are given and that's like staple of art does not need to be delved into. So like it's like with that with Watchmen, and especially respecting creatives and stuff like that. So and then with the Elseworlds thing too, like he's not limiting himself, saying that any story can't be told. Like, yeah, we can do a Superman Red Sun, and like we can do like stories of lesser known characters that like, and he mentioned again people, and I'm listening to the interview, I'm like, okay, who he's mentioning, whatever. He mentioned Huntress, but I'm like, well, you can't have the conversation with Huntress without the question, right? So it's like which is like, that's like where I really hope they get into. But he's not limiting himself. Like, if there's a story that's outside the main DCU continuity, I'm not going to limit, creatives who have a great story just because what's fitting in our universe. He mentioned like with Kevin Feige, like for example, we can't do a World War Hulk film now because it's not in the fit what we're doing going into Secret Wars. It doesn't. But he's saying I can't do what Kevin Feige does, and I don't want to, which is why I have Peter. And I think that's what this interview, if people actually listen to what he's saying, like, no, I am focusing on the creative side. Peter, he's dealing with the whole studio organization side and stuff like that Kevin has to do, right? Because he's doing all of that, right? He's like, no, I'm focusing on what I know I'm good at. And that's just showing just love, dedication, who he knows his strength and his weaknesses, and knowing that, hey, I'm not going to just have this entire universe on my shoulders, because the strength of it is bringing creatives who have quality, who have understanding of these characters, and we have the same mission, telling great stories with these amazing characters that have a legacy of comics left to be explored. So yeah, I have huge respect with him after this interview he had with Josh.
Do you want to say something, Lipper?
No, go for it.
No, I mean, I agree full-heartedly, because again, like you were saying at the beginning, that a lot of people will take things that he says out of context and blow it up to something either far worse or something that is not at all. So yeah, and the thing that I love that he is so candid, and I think the reason like I appreciate his style a little bit more is because he's not blind to the fact that DC has had a very messy couple of years, and that's why, like, we're not going to do what DC films did. We're going to do, we're going to take project by project, and that's the thing. Like, I'm not in a rush to see Batman. I was a little disappointed that Booster Gold isn't where it needs to be at. But at the same time, like, it's someone who was like, I remember when they were trying to do the Booster Gold TV show for Sci-Fi back in 2011, and when they tried to do the Booster Gold movie for the DCU, whatever, and so on. I'm like, I know that this is a character that they've tried many times, and they struggle because the studio doesn't know what they want to do with that character. So that's why I'm like, I'd rather that they wait and I'd rather they wait until they have the perfect vision for it. It was interesting because he did also ask about Gunnar, and about whether or not he's Boosticle, and he kind of dodged that question. But again, I don't think he's been cast as Boosticle, because again, if the script
No,
isn't even done, like why would you start casting now? Plus, it's probably going to be whoever's the showrunner. Who, like, I think they will get the showrunner first, and then they will be involved with casting Booster. So again, this is why like the rumor and scooper game is just insane sometimes, because something that's the thing, when it goes on for so long, something I don't even remember where some of these reports even come from. Like, no,
no,
Booster
it
hasn't.
doesn't, because it comes with, again, this is the issue that we have right now in our culture. Is a strength and it's a weakness, because what strength is that now everybody has a voice, but the con of that is everyone has a voice, everyone has a platform, and to the point that
Right.
also integrity is not the goal for this for in the industry that we're in, especially people who claim they are not critics but will make a Instagram account, whatever, and just post random quote unquote spoilers, and then they have headlines with big white or black text like, oh, this person talks to be in this movie, this person's been cast, Marvel is going to do this, DC is going to do this, and it's like that is not even true. And then but then by a point that as fan base or people online would just kind of run that narrative, then they'll just think, oh, that is the truth. And then when we correct you, because we're actually in this space, we know we have colleagues and people who are in this industry that we can just ask them with a freaking phone call, hey, is this true? Like, no. And this what comes with building relationships in this industry. You know what, you can see BS a mile away, because we take actual care and treat this as a profession, because it is a profession. We take this very seriously when we see misinformation, because we want to also make sure we stand on our platforms, on different platforms, etc., on integrity. And yes, there are other outlets and other press people that will run that narrative just to get the following, to get the subscribers, get the clicks and stuff like that. So it's not that, oh, it's only just the non-people in the profession. We're also hypocrites too.
I can say that as someone who works as a screener, like we can't run where we want to, so because we could be sued. We could there could be legal ramifications, which which happens in any major publication. That's why like you don't see, like, I don't cover every single rumor that comes out, because it's like I I don't want to have to deal with Warner Bros. Legal, like they tried to come they've tried to come for me before, and like I'm just I don't want to play that game. So, and it was even you notice, like, when he's talking about, like, they were trying, Josh was trying to get things out of him about the Bane and Deathstroke movie, but clearly, like, it's one of those things that is probably it's not even done yet. So it was, again, like, I think the movie is definitely in development. It's just that they're not ready to talk about it because it's too early. And same thing with Teen Titans, same thing with the Blue Beetle anime TV show. But he did say that as of last week, or something, that a new product has been greenlit now. So which again, I don't know why people feel like we need to have this massive, collection of like projects announced already. Because then again, we're just going back to it was like me and Liv were talking about a few weeks ago, with that in the DCU, like we had like how many movies announced, and then like how many of them actually did happen.
Because it were spoiled. It's the issue. Like, again, we're in the information age. Whether we want just a title card that you can make on on Photoshop, whatever, and a release date and some music, just and a fake date, just to put it on there and at least give us some form of incitement. Because we've been trained that with Marvel. We've been trained that with Marvel. Because there was a time when you didn't know a movie was coming out till the trailer came out. There was a time, you just actually read the newspaper that you said, oh, wait, this movie's in development. They're shooting this movie. Oh, okay. Interesting. Now it's like, oh, yeah, Marvel can be making this movie. No, they're not even thinking about that. DC, they're going to make a movie about this character. Like, even again, the false information about, oh, this person was fired, and then there's nuance to that conversation. But anyway, that's what again, the space that we'll continue to do. I'd rather have all the information and then criticize it. Like, I don't like this, I don't like that, but then yet, regardless whether none of it's true, it breeds a conversation. So it's like that's what people want, because they get a high off of it. They get a high off of like, oh yeah, they're gonna recast T'Challa with the son in Black Panther 3. You don't even know what the story of Black Panther 3 is. Like, I'm just using that as just an example. So it's just like, yeah, we get a high off of it because we're spoiled from years of being in this genre now, of like, we should expect this. We should expect you to be at San Diego Comic-Con. We should expect you to be at, these conventions and stuff instead of, actually be, working on making the movie and then show it, because I'd rather have a no news announcement, but I know you're making the movie, and then I see the final product, and you keep updating me on every little small thing, and then I'm like, okay, see the final product, and it's mediocre. Because that's what we've gotten with DC, fortunately, with in the last couple of years. But we're in this year, we're in a good trajectory right now. It's a good time to be a DC fan. So I think we're heading in the right direction.
But yeah, is anything else we want to talk about this interview? I know he also talked about that he had contemplated at one point making Robert Pattinson's Batman part of the DCU, and again, of course, people had split opinions about that. How do you both feel about it, Lip?
I'm glad it's not happening. Look, I've been saying it from the go. Like, Robert Pattinson's Batman would not fit with what he's doing. I don't care how many times someone photoshops Robert Pattinson's Batman next to David Cornsweet. It looks dumb. It's stupid. It's a bad idea. It's tonally indifferent. They just would not gel well together. And on top of that, like, when we got the Superman announcement, we got the Batman announcement right after that, and Brave and the Bold. Like, we know what kind of Batman is coming, but then you've got people trying their damnedest to, like, justify having Pattinson be the Batman. It's like, oh, well, they can do a time jump. I'm like, why can't things just be on their own? Like, why can't we just let Matt Reeves do what he wants? Like, Christopher Nolan once said, I had the luxury of time. And I feel like James Gunn is trying to do that same thing with whoever he brings in. Trying to shoehorn all this shit in is just going to wind up just like what happened with Warner Brothers in the last universe.
Yes.
More or less. And it's kind of a dumb idea. Like, if you think Robert Pattinson and David Cornsweet, not anyone here, but like the collective view of the people out there, if you think that that's a good idea, fucking more power to you. But you're living in a dream world. Straight up. You are living in a fucking dream world, because it is never going to happen. And despite the fact how long it's going to take Matt Reeves to finish his trilogy, I don't care how long it takes. Let the man cook. He just shown when he takes his time, he delivers. So same applies to James Gunn. Keep the two separate. Give that Elseworlds banner some kind of strength to it, because all it is right now that we have is just straight up DCU stuff between, Commandos and Superman, Peacemaker, Supergirl, Lanterns. Like, all that is straight up DCU. The only thing that is not outside of the Batman Part 2 is that Swaybox Studios claymation movie dynamic duo, because that's also produced by Matt Reeves, and they have not clarified whether or not that is going to be in the DC universe, and I honestly doubt it will be. I doubt it.
Yeah. I just watched that film because that was like one of the most abstract announcements that came out, where I was like, that's intriguing, but I'm like, but I'm seeing like where you go with this, but at the same time, like, I know we're going in Batman Brave and the Bold with a Damian Wayne Robin, and he emphasizes Bat family several times and stuff. So it's like, and that's something as a fan that I want to see. Now, do I want to see the exploration of Bat family in the Matt Reeves Batman? No, because I know what he's trying to do with that character in his season of his life. It's like, at a year or two Batman, you shouldn't be a dad already with with Damian Wayne Robin and already and 4 other Robins before you, underneath your belt and stuff like that, right? And that's where I'm talking about. What happy that he said that. It's like, yeah, because it's cheap. You're taking something that was already established on someone else like own terms that you had no part of, right? And now it's like, oh no, you want to have the overarching universe, and you're trying to establish something new on a clean slate, but yeah, you want to take somebody else that they did when you had no involvement on it. Yes, I understand you had involvement with Peacemaker and parts of the Suicide Squad and everything, and you want to bring those elements over. Yeah, because that's what you created. But then you also have respect for artists. Like, I'm not going to touch what he's making because I know that's great. And I'm not going to go and try dip my toe. And I'm going to sit here as a fan and watch, right? And then also create, and matter of fact, I'll do it better. I'll create a separate category that in any realm that any other creative, because I'm not just going to limit just with Matt Reeves. Anybody, who wants to do that, yeah, you can stay in this category of Elseworld stories, and I don't want to limit it much as like my goal is to also create this DCU. Also, my goal is to make sure to make great films out of this studio, right? And in that is something that's outside my main continuity that I'm creating. Go ahead and do it, and let me know if pitch the script, pitch the the writing and everything. And then if I see like this is great, then we greenlight it and let's go. With Peter Safran. So again, you always keep thinking that again, it's as a pair, which is why like, you have to understand what he was doing with the Conjuring series. Like, come on, like so it's like that he was
let
one
the
of
Wonder Twins cook
studio.
Let the Wonder Twins cook, and that's hopefully we'll have more updates about what's going on with the Batman Part 2, etc. But let's get into this week's episode 4, called Chasing Squirrels. And boy, y'all, like if you saw how my facial reaction when that trailer came out today and they revealed something from this episode, I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Oh, by the way, as Vanessa always says, cursing is allowed on this podcast, so because deal with it, because I'm about to get a little mad.
Yes.
So let's we deal with the fact that essentially like they stop Cersei, but they want to again now they want to know like, why have you been going after Princess Ilana? Why are you going after her? And so and then we start to find out that maybe there is more than meets the eye with Cersei. Initially they were kind of very hesitant about like listening to her, and they know like that she is I think they say did he say that she's a clairvoyant?
She's clairvoyant.
Yeah, she is. Yep.
And eventually Amanda gets her little dose. Again, we gotta start with this. So she goes in, she starts interrogating. Because again, I've been waiting for a fucking month to talk about this, and that's why I'm like, you motherfuckers, you posted this trailer and you included that shot. So she shows Amanda a vision of the future, and this is where we learn that Ilana is actually the villain. The reason she went after Ilana in the beginning was not for the benefit of herself, but for the benefit of the world, because Ilana is planning on taking over the world, and we see in this future vision lots of DC characters. And I remember like when Lip had gotten the screeners and he had seen it. One time I was like, so who did you see on your end? Because I'm not sure this, that, or that, and so on. So we get a little taste of the DC universe and kind of some characters we already know is going to be in it, but also some characters that we haven't heard about at all. So Mike, since you're our guest, what was your reaction to learning that we've been following the wrong villain this entire time? Ilana is a baddie.
Again, this is what I call not just about great writing, but great directing, because you're also having that as anticipation of a scene, but we don't know what we're experiencing, right? And also how quick the edits are to be like, hey, yeah, let's go, right? That was fan service, but it was actually unique. And again, even though we're seeing the rest of the season, how same stuff plays out, I like that it's showing just like, no, things are not what it seems on paper, what you're seeing here as a threat, right? But also there's also about different people's perspectives and everything. And again, this episode is going to get revisited later. Like for people like when it's like, okay, I need, after seeing this entire season, I need to go watch the episode again and see like, what did I miss here? And then that's what's smart about planting seeds of characters' motivation of what they're actually doing, which is the strength of that. I thought, and again, as we get into it, that I think that her not being the main villain, like, no, I'm trying to prevent the threat, is I'm just, that's to me is more interesting. Again, just saying the mustache twirling villain who just want to watch the world burn. I want to conquer. Right. And then for me, I'm like, yeah, I want power too, but I'm trying to save, but I'm also in this world, so I gotta save it. And also I'm gonna use means that some of you guys don't even know. So it's like, yeah, I'm doing that. It gives off perspective of Cersei, like, hey, her and Themyscira, she said, I'm a rightful ruler of Themyscira. It's like, what's her motivation, her intentions, and Themyscira, like, and what people perceive her. Like, is she trying to like be like almost like a General Zod from Man of Steel? Like, hey, I'm trying to save this world from from the death of our resources, everything, and I'm have means that you might not agree with, but it's necessary, and then that's their perspective. So yeah, I think that was very interesting, given that her angle in terms of her character.
Lib, what, how did you feel about the twist initially? Like how when you know again I know we talked a little bit about you and I like after you'd see the episode, but like now that you've had a few times to rewatch it, how did you what'd you take away from it? Like what were your thoughts?
Well, first of all, I literally just saw a post on Threads. Someone says DC Studios released a trailer for the upcoming episodes of Creature Commandos that shows Superman, Starfire, and Peacemaker dead in a dystopian future dominated by Cersei. And I replied to that. I quoted it, and I said, "I'll just say part of this is true and part of it is not," because it's so funny to me that people will grab on it. It's we've Andy showed me this a little while ago, and like I've been kind of wondering how the reaction to this is going to be, and then they kind of spoiled a little bit of this in marketing, and it'll be interesting. It's going to be funny to watch heads explode over like the initial full totality of all of
right.
this. Like it to me, it was just like, oh, cool. Like I you know, I'll always take seeing Peacemaker dead. You know, that'll make me smile 10 ways to Sunday. I'll never.
Oh, Philip.
That will never not make me smile. When I saw that, I smiled quite big. What's interesting is a good majority of them are all on pikes, and Superman is the only one in a cross.
Cross, right?
Yeah, that was very, very interesting, and it's very clearly David Corenswet's Superman as well. But like, I think the bigger reveal here is like, you've got Starfire. I think you've got
let's geek out. Let's geek out now.
Starfire,
and
Robin,
I wish
Woman.
we could. I wish we could do a screenshot, but we can't because all of our screeners are clouded with like
right. So you have so if it presumed to be Justice League International, because we haven't seen the Superman movie for next year, but Hawkgirl, Guy Garner is in there in the back. Also Miss Terrific, yes. I freeze framed it. Yes, Booster Gold was in there as well, but he was in the far back because you just saw his outfit was like very yellow, very bright, and like that's like what is it? Oh, that's Booster Gold. Yes,
Supergirl's even there too.
Supergirl in the back corner as well. Wonder Woman. Yes,
Woman. Very classic,
and then you have
Wonder Woman at that too.
Classic, right? And which is a key about the costumes, because one thing I was like telling my friend, like, listen, like, because I just did in the taping of this recording, I did my review of the first 2 episodes of this. And I told him, hey, did you see that trailer today? It's like, yeah, that's okay. First of all, they didn't even show you half the shit, right? But I think it's very interesting how, like, yeah, you see the detail of certain costumes, but for ones that of characters that have not been cast yet, they still give you a silhouette or of a close up enough to know who that character is, and that's smart. Whereas, like, because obviously designs and stuff gonna change, but at least they like, some characters are like, that's a clear comic book Wonder Woman, like that is clear, like animated costume with outfit and everything. But then like Batman, Robin, like, and you saw how like it's been the fact that you see in the back and you see how short he was. Like, what is that? That's the green. It was the green cape.
There's only one character who has a yellow cape.
But the yellow cape. Yeah, it was like the cape, and I was like, I was like that's he's in the back corner. But for me, I was just hoping. I was like, wait, please don't tell me no, Jon Stewart not there. I was like, oh no, okay, all right, he made it out. The black man made it out. They still got one black man. Miss Terrific didn't make it, but at least Jon Stewart. Listen, he made it. Look, after Justice League a Dark Apocalypse War, and the dude got toasted, by Darkseid. I'm like, no, free this man, free this black man. I know by the time of this show he wasn't cast yet, but I was just
I don't even think David was cast by the time they had made, because James had written all the episodes already, and then he went on to Superman. So I think that's obviously, like, he probably knew what he was going to do with like the Superman S or whatever and so on. But the fact that because I remember like the first time I saw him, like, the fuck is Starfire doing here? Like, I love me some Starfire.
Which the writer, like, we got confirmation of with Teen Titans that they're in development, but then when he's saying about things are not in development, and I'm like, I watched the show, like, nope, Teen Titans is absolutely happening.
So the thing that when I watched it the first time that I got very excited about was that, like, again, they're not setting any promises in stone where they're like, well, this has to have it, because the whole point of seriously showing us is that this is what will happen if we don't stop Ilana. If
Right.
she wins, she kills all of them. So the thing that did get me nervous, and again, this is what I'm like, because we know that, like, listen, we're Snyder fans, we love Snyder stuff, but I'm afraid that side of the fandom is going to be riffing on James Gunn and saying that this is a Nightmare ripoff. And I am like he.
Listen, this the thing. I don't understand that for what we love about DC, how the realm they go, even without Snyder, like I'm talking Justice League Dark, Apocalypse War, Batman Under the Red Hood, other stories, Return of the Joker, Batman Beyond. Like DC has gone dark in their animation for years. Right. Yeah. And so it was regardless of Snyder. So I think it's to say that, like, oh, you're ripping off the Nightmare and all stuff like that. I'm like, that's like that. It's almost a fetish now of trying to of the admiration of him for only dark elements of apocalyptic DC. It's only Snyder. No, I
mean, it's become almost inherent at this point for DC Comics to have a storyline of some sort that showcases all your big players just fucked up, beaten, battered, dead, you name it. And it's just really nothing new, it's all about like how you present that story, how you tell that story. But yeah, I mean, to Andy's point, like there are going to be those acolytic fans that are just like, oh, boo, James Gunn, look at you riffing our Lord and Savior, Zack Snyder, damn you. And it's just like, well, could you guys maybe put on some other movies that aren't any of what he's made, that and kind of broaden your perspectives just a little bit? That'd be nice, but that might be asking for a little bit too much, because these people are convinced that Netflix is going to buy the DC IP and restore the Snyderverse or whatever the fuck their current hashtag endeavor is. Like it's I don't really think it's going to be anything. It's going to be a small vocal minority at this point, right? Like, because I think other DC fans are going to look at this and just be like, what the fuck? Like it's going to garner a lot of what the fucks is what it's going to garner.
But it's exciting for us as we are, we're getting early into this franchise, and at least knowing that, there's, again, James it wasn't kidding that when he said that this is a DC universe where superheroes have existed for quite some time. And even like during his interview with Josh Horowitz, he even talked about like how like this Superman movie is going to have like elements of the Silver Age, which I'm like, oh, okay, tell me more, or maybe show us more. I'm just saying. But again, this was like, it's fun to know that this was one of the things me and Lip were alluding to in our advanced review, which is that there aren't necessarily infinity stones in this show that you have to pay attention to that's going to carry into all these other things. But it still reminds you that this is set in a larger franchise, that, like this, there will be things to look forward to, but you're still watching the show because of the Commandos. You're not wanting just to learn about, why was Starfire up there? Why was Hawker up there? Why was Supergirl up there? Or why was Superman crucified? Or whatever and so on. Again, it's
God is her right hand command. Like, like.
Exactly. So again, it's like, we should be able to have fun with these kind of things without having to see people going after James every time that something even feels remotely similar to Zack or whatever. And so, and the thing is, like, you think Zack Snyder owns the concept of showing dystopian futures? In that case, Hunger Games has been ripping off Zack Snyder and all these other things that we've seen in TV and film and comics and media and so on. It's they've been stealing from Zack since even before he was born.
Yeah, like, I kind of just shrug my shoulders and say whatever at this point. I'm game for like a good story, because even though like I'm fairly critical of the guy in charge, like I still very much like this show. I like what they did with it because of the fact that it is centered around the Commandos and that it is a story deeply seated within these characters. And honestly, that's what I want from comic book stuff going forward. Show me a good story, because that's kind of been the lacking thing for a lot of these movies and even some of the TV shows that have come out. Looking at you, Secret Invasion. But like it's just like it's like, I mean, look, I could throw that same I could throw that same shade at Shazam: Fury of the Gods, because man, that isn't even a by the numbers sequel, because you actually need numbers for it to call by the numbers. And I think that movie's problem is inherently to the script, and I think to James Gunn's point, it's like you needed a stronger script, and Henry Gayden clearly didn't deliver that. But you know, it's just like, look, when it comes down to it, like, I like that he equated the DCU that he's making more to Star Wars, in that, yeah, we're gonna show you some shit, and then it's gonna happen here, and then we're gonna show you some shit that happens over here, and these two things don't necessarily intersect. Like, we're gonna get Superman, and we're gonna get like a little bit of Rick Flag, but he's not gonna be a big player in that movie. His big play comes in Peacemaker season 2. It's more like kind of a map, in a way, like a star map, like in Star Wars. You know, you stop here, you stop here, you stop here, you have your adventures, you have your adventure here, you have your adventure there, and it's all in the same world. But you don't necessarily need, like, here's a great example. You don't necessarily need to go out of Iron Man 2 into being like, oh, damn, I can't wait to watch Thor. That's not going to be the case for me with Creature Commandos going into Superman. I'm just like, no, I watched Creature Commandos. I liked Creature Commandos. Superman's going to be the real testament for me, because, as I've made abundantly clear, like, when it comes to James Gunn as a filmmaker, I have my qualms with 2 of his 4 comic book films. So Superman will be the make or break property for me as far as his filmmaking endeavors go. And I'm curious to see where that will lie, and if he is going to rein himself in, or if he's going to fall into his usual pitfalls again. Now, I think his sensibilities really worked well, specifically in this episode, because we finally get a little bit of backstory about Weasel and what happened with him.
Let's go.
Yes.
Yeah. So what do we learn about Weasel, Lep?
That he did not, in fact, kill 28 people. He was trying to save some kids from a burning classroom or a burning school, because some lunatic with a shotgun was like, oh, there's this creature trying to kill these kids. I'm going to go stop it. And then the police are like, yeah, sure, whatever.
Right. And then also the situation of kids bumping the stuff playing wild. First of all, my question was, where were the adults at? And if this is a school, like, you know, like, that's like, okay, where are the adults? Like, yeah, something nobody. On a weekend. Yeah, right. And then where your just, oh yeah, all the kids, yeah, you go walk. They're not old enough to like come back home when the street lights are off. Like, no. They are at a school, and at elementary school, anything, probably even kindergarten or something, or first grade. Like, I'm like, where are the teachers? Right. And then you have a random foreigner guy just walking by and just you know, see something and just gonna go there, like, no security, like what year, what's, you know, what, where is this on, you know, this modern day? But anyway, it's just sad, because the weirdest person that can't really verbalize his struggle, his pain, or his trauma, but at the same time, because who he is and what he looks like, he's perceived a certain way. But also, he had probably, because of for people around him, their lack of understanding.
Yep.
That you realize that you are right next to one of the most tragic people in this group.
And that's epitomized at the end of the episode, because he's literally like having a nightmare about his fears, and what do Nina and the bride say? Oh, what do you think he's dreaming about? And the bride's just like, oh, probably chasing squirrels or something. And it's like, that's, you know, if you really knew what the fuck was going on, you probably wouldn't be saying some shit like that. Also, did you guys catch the Linda Cardinelli cameo? She's his lawyer, Elizabeth Bates.
Yeah, who about it? I did not know that she was in the comic, that she was like a human rights attorney.
Yeah,
Yep.
You know, which this is what's so funny, because Sean Gunn has now had like the two of the most emotional episodes of the season back to back. You know, last week, you know, we dealt with the death of
Robot.
Moment of silence.
Anyway,
we love him. We do love him. But what I found was so interesting, because I talked when I interviewed Sean Gunn, you know, and you know, by the time this this goes live, I'm hoping these quotes have gone live. But I asked him, like, you know, was it always planned that, like, that, you know, like, was this something that they carried over from the DCU that they were going to do in the DCU, or is this their way of showing that this is a different Weasel than we saw from the DCU continuity? And he was like, not he didn't know the specifics of Weasel's backstory of when they were doing Suicide Squad and then carrying over to this, but like he had already known that, like, he did not kill 27 kids, and you know, but now we're getting this depth, and I think it's, you know, because again, of course, like for us, like on the outside, he is the comic relief of the show in a lot of ways. But now it's like the fact that he is suffering from PTSD, he is suffering from this trauma. And again, it's like, that's why I love, you know, again, people are gonna say that I'm a gun licker, which, you know, like, fuck off. I have loved Sean Gunn since, like, I saw him on Gilmore Girls many years ago, and I don't even like the show that much, but like he was one of the characters that was always fun. But Sean has always been able to play very different types of characters. He's not just a slapstick comic relief. He plays some really intense, dramatic characters too. And the fact that, you know, we don't even understand what he's saying, but like when we're seeing him crying, when we see him, you know, in pain, that because, you know, he's seeing this little girl die in front. Again, it's those two officers' fault that that girl died, not his. Like these two guys fucking got her killed because they were so obsessed with stopping him, and it broke my heart so much that I'm like, holy fuck! Not even once in the DCU did I care about Weasel, and now, like, because we're free of that continuity, we're free of that franchise. Finally, we can go into bigger layers like this. So this was a very nice twist, and I'm hoping that we see more of his, you know, we learn more about him. You know, guys, you know, we do get a few hints here and there in the rest of a couple episodes, but like as far as his role in the rest of DCU goes, I'm hoping to learn more.
Yeah, I felt like because we still know like who he is, like who, if like what type of creature, like how was this creature created,
Yeah.
you know, like that's the thing where I'm kind of more interested. Like, okay, he can't verbalize that, but is he actual like person, like, you know, that got turned to this, and stuff, you know, and you know that's where I'd get more interesting, more layers to that. But what you were just saying, Andy, like for fact that he's doing this type of backstory, but literally just your emotional investment with these characters, with these literally D or D-list characters, and it's just like imagine what he's going to do with characters who have icons, who have, you know, nostalgia on them. It has a massive fan base to these characters, but at the same time, it's like, okay, I'm gonna take this character to a different realm that you haven't experienced before, and a more personal level. Not because they're the most powerful, not because they're, you know, they look like the coolest. Like, no, we're gonna humanize these characters, even though this universe is more of a fantasy level, you know, in terms of diving in different areas in DC Comics and stuff. But like, yeah, I'm very excited, like what he did with, you know, this GI Robot as well, and then you as we get into more episodes, understanding other characters' backstories. Again, it just like it tend to really remind yourself of humanity just in real life. Like, who is the person who I fail to understand because they look weird, or hey, I relate to it because I was born with the birth deficiency or something like that. You know, that was visual. Growing up as a kid, I was picked on, or how escalations get so, or situations get so escalated like in real time, and then the aftermath of it can be so traumatic for people. But yeah, it just, we don't understand what their history is because our own biases and our own preconceived notions, and stuff. And which again, there's a lot of metaphors that can be played with Weasel. What happened with him, you know, on different levels and stuff. But
yeah, so as we learn more about his backstory, in the meantime, I mean,
Sorry, I'm looking up stuff about Weasel because he's in the John Ostrander Suicide Squad run. That's where he was initially introduced in Legend of Firestorm number 36, and he was then recruited into the Suicide Squad, and he has a run-in with Rick Flag and a couple other people, and then apparently he was also resurrected as a Black Lantern too. So
it's kind of a funny image in my head.
Pretty right. Like, you know, it's the one character, one of the last characters you probably ever expect to be like resurrected as a lantern. But yeah, you know, Weasel as a character, at least in the film, I was just like, okay, well, this is just a more R-rated version of Rocket Raccoon, more or less. But then you get to this, and it's like,
no, this is Chewbacca and Gollum if they had a baby R-rated.
possibly, yeah, that's probably a better way of saying it. But like, get to this series, and it's like, oh no, there's actually a large, tremendous sense of tragedy that befalls this character, and it's like, oh damn, I was wrong about you. I'm kind of sorry. Just a little bit, just a little bit. And
I was sobbing when he was sobbing, like, well, like
Right.
not sobbing, when he was screaming in
Like you
pain.
reaching out to him, trying to save him, like after he was getting shot.
Yeah, he's not even thinking about himself. He's not even thinking about himself. He's just trying to get to that girl, and just it was rough. But we see that in the meantime, the other task force characters, and they get called back to go back to Pakistan and go after Ilana, because now that Waller has seen what she's seen, like it's very fascinating seeing Waller shook up, like, because not a lot of things gets to her, but this, like, she was panicking. So while they're trying to go back to they're going back to Pakistan and trying to go after the princess. A dynamic I was not expecting to see come to life happens between Rick Flag Sr. and Frankenstein. And I was like laughing so hard because I'm like, did not expect these two characters to even like share a screen in a scene like this. Because what is it? Is that he thinks that Rick and the bride.
Yeah, the episode opens up with Frankenstein kind of stalking the bride, and he sees the bride having a conversation with Frankenstein or Flag, and like he mutilates the people who help him find them, and then he writes on his hand Rick Flag, and then by the end of the episode, after Flag is just like, no, I'm not gonna go fucking kill this princess just because this crazy witch lady says so. Like, no, I'm gonna fucking put a stop to this shit. He literally goes to his house, not even realizing he's being tailed by Frankenstein. They fight in Rick Flag's house, and so much so, like, Frankenstein just discloses, like, you can't have her, my bride, and Flag's just like, what, you mean the princess? My bride. And he's like, are you talking about the bride? He's like, dude, she's not even my type. And then Frankenstein's like, oh, can I have and they like, Flag totally gives him some tea, and it's just like they kind of talk shit out, but not before like Frankenstein is like, everyone's her type, especially you Dilfy piece of shit.
Listen.
Yeah.
As a loud gay that I am, he's not wrong.
God, that was funny. That was
because the moment he and but the moment Rick and Ilana were fucking, I'm like, Flag Senior is a delve.
Well, I mean, even also like the Frank Grillo has, even though he has a black hair in real life, which they talked about that, like how
I'm so over this whole complaint about the hair, because I'm like, now that we know that he was filming something at the same time, I'm like, okay, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah. So, but like, I just thought it was just funny again how misunderstandings can lead to altercations, and you realize, like, hey, I'm not trying to get this girl, whatever. Oh, okay.
No, like, no, bro, I'm not
like, no,
I'm not the next Victor Frankenstein. No thanks.
And then he get unexpected, buddy moment, actually just sitting understanding, talking to each other. So I thought that was funny, even though again Frankenstein is a crazy person, like is
he's fucking nuts, bro.
Yeah, it's just nice to see that, just have that moment of calmness after that occasion.
I also really like that right before they get called back into action, like Nina Mazursky is like kind of lightweight being bullied for her lunch, and the bride is like, you better give her shit back. And this big, I forget, but this apparently is like a deep pool DC character that I don't remember the name of, but like, he's like, oh yeah, what are you gonna do? And like, bride just totally smacks the shit out of him and proceeds to beat the snot out of him with a fucking lunch tray. And then Dr. Phosphorus just takes the other one's lunch tray, gives it to Nina, and goes, okay, everyone's happy except you, because you're not getting anything to eat.
And you're ugly.
Coming from the guy who looks like a flaming radioactive being, yeah, he's calling the one with wings ugly.
Cool though. He looks cool though. Like, she
by comparison, yeah, I guess you're right.
Yeah, so that was just, oh my god, I mean, when we get these characters in live action, it is gonna be quite something. But
So
no, go ahead.
if that's the case, like, I think it'll be pretty easy for Alan Tudyk to act like Dr. Phosphorus, because they're probably just going to stick him in like some kind of suit or something, and he'll just, you know,
I
give the
thought that would be
verbal.
more like motion capture than anything.
Maybe, yeah, I don't know. I mean, you know, the way they utilize, you know, lights and stuff for Dr. Manhattan in the Watchmen movie, technology's come a long way. I could see something like that happening too. But I'd be very, very interested to see if Alan Tudyk did double time, and not only did Dr. Phosphorus, but did William Magnus as well.
Yeah, you know, because we didn't talk about it last time. That we want, I'm wondering like if the Metal Man could be somewhere, in the making. I know they like Warner Bros. They've been trying since like the early 2000s, the mid 2000s to try to do Metal Man. This seems like something that James Gunn would very much tap into.
Well, I think the setup is there. I mean, they basically outright tell you that like G.I. Robot is more or less like the godfather, if you will, of William Magnus's Metal Man. He's like not necessarily the blueprint per se, but he's the machination that leads to them, more or less, which makes sense. You know, they had to come from somewhere.
Yeah, no, but I loved Rick and Frankenstein's dynamic. Like them, he was in like, have you, they start talking about movies. He's like, have you seen that picture? Have you seen that movie? And I'm just like, what is happening? Because I'm not used to Frankenstein being like, first of all, I'm not used to Frankenstein being a stalker. But secondly, I'm not used to him being like smart and like having thoughts and like, I'm like, wait a minute, what is he want? That's what I mean. And David Harbour is just incredible. So, and I just, I just talked to him, and it's just so funny, like kind of just hearing his regular voice versus, the voice he does here. Yeah, because there's a bit of an accent to it. But yeah, no, it was it was funny, but I think that also we do see, by the way, speaking about our DCU tie-ins, we see John Economist for the first time again, and he's he kind of indicated it hasn't been that long since the event of Peacemaker season 1, because his leg is still hurt. So at least I guess the time jump won't be too crazy by the time we get to season 2 next August.
Probably
it's
not,
2 years. Yeah, so it's 2 years since the Suicide Squad. Because in episode 1, he references like, oh yeah,
right, but I'm saying that the events of Peacemaker season 1 was not that long ago because his leg is still like broken and he's still.
Yeah. Got it. Because like I know he went to. I just rewatched Peacemaker with me rewatching, my wife first time watching Peacemaker. But yeah, he goes to Belle Reve at the end of it and everything. So I don't know. Maybe I'm not trying to play time here, but maybe like a couple, maybe a month
6 to 8 months.
6 to 8 months. Yeah. So
I don't know. I didn't feel compelled to revisit Peacemaker. You're doing the Lord's work, Mike. I swear.
It's a fun show, but you don't like Peacemaker. It's perfectly fine. It's okay.
I do not, and honestly, that's probably a large reason.
You let others. Sorry, I think I'm interrupted, but you let others enjoy without policing their thought.
Not even so much that. It's just like I think the reason I like this project by James Gunn is because of the fact there's not a fucking idiot dipshit in a toilet bowl helmet spewing nonsense every 20 minutes. But that's just me.
But overall, gentlemen, because there's not much else to this, there's not much else to discuss about this episode. Anything else you guys want to bring up before we wrap things up?
I think this episode is probably going to be the one that people might talk about the most.
Yeah,
it's either going to be this one or another one. I won't say which one, but it's definitely right. This is one of them. I think this is definitely going to be one people will probably talk about for like a good week.
A lot of screenshotting and pause and play. Shout
out to new rock stars. Let's break down everything right now.
10 characters you did not know were in that teaser.
Right.
Freeze frame.
Let's do our best reaction phase to like when the characters showed up.
Right. I was like,
Lip was just like
my reaction to other people's reaction. Just straight up Willy Wonka. Just go on. Mm-hmm. Yes, it was that character. Go on. Yes.
Oh, okay.
I'll probably just pull like a Jeremy Allen White on the bear and just like, yeah, and
Right.
Listen, how many times has Carmi? You know that's what Carmi does. Anytime he will, like, when he's stressed, like he will like, yeah, and
Let's go.
Yeah.
I can't meet the Bear season 4 already. Good lord. But ladies and gentlemen, that is it. So we're gonna wrap things up here. So first of all, Mike, thank you for joining us. I know you're gonna be with us for episode 5 as well. So where can people find you on your social medias and anything else you want to plug?
Yeah, you can find me on my YouTube channel at Mike7, also on Instagram, Twitter, Social, Blue Sky, and everything. Mike7, TikTok as well. I got more videos that I'll be posting on there as well, and interviews dropping on my channel and stuff at Mike7. Then on the link below or at the app below username.
Yeah, I will tag your guys. I will tag his YouTube channel in the video description so that you click on it, that you can get all his good links. So go subscribe to him and follow him. We love him here.
Thank you.
Lip Gallagher, where can people find you on your social medias and your other projects?
Well, everything should be tied to that right there, unfiltered. You can catch me on YouTube, Vero, Instagram, and Threads, as well as Blue Sky. You can catch my reviews that I write for Multiverse of Color. I
love that he points at me.
Star Wars.
We are Multiverse of Color. I am not Multiverse of Color.
Well, it's because you just have it right there in your
yes
heading there. You know, it's just
right
easier
here
to point and just be like, boom, right there, Multiverse of Color. Like, yeah, I just did a review for Star Wars. I did the season finale of Superman and Lois. I also did the first 2 episodes of Creature Commandos. Like, they are up there to read for your reading pleasure. And I'm sure by the time this will be out, episodes 3 and 4 reviews will more than likely be out. Other than that, I also have a Batman podcast that I do with my friend Craig. We haven't done any episodes in a couple days because, well, life just gets in the way of fun things like podcasting. And then again, you guys can check out my YouTube channel where I do a plethora of dumb bullshit, like, like,
plethora of dumb bullshit. What a combination of words, Lip.
It's a bunch of shit. It's about, movie reviews. It's, let's play Pokemon Coliseum. It's a replay, more or less. It's, let's talk Creature Commandos in a spoiler-free fashion, and maybe I'll do something else with Creature Commandos later on down the line. I have a couple other videos in mind that I just have not gotten around to typing out, outlining, or outright recording because, well, I'm just fucking lazy. Anyway, that's about it for me.
Well, also get him to 200 subscribers because you just crossed 100 subscribers.
Thank you. You're absolutely right. I did just, in fact, cross 100 subscribers on YouTube. So let's make it to 200. That'd be epic.
Yeah, you can give it to them as a Christmas present because this episode is coming out on December 26th, which it's the holidays right now. This is why we're recording things early because I don't think any of us are gonna be streaming or podcast or anything like by the holidays. So that's why. But for me, you can find me at Andy Babak on all social media. I am a senior writer and interviewer for screenrant.com, where you can find lots of interviews with the Creature Commandos cast and showrunner and all the latest news in the world of Hollywood. And you can also find me as editor-in-chief of Multiverse of Color, which I am not Multiverse of Color. We are Multiverse of Color, if anything.
Yes.
So check out everyone's amazing work that they do. Lip, Vanessa, Lady V, Chainsaw Reacts, Breeze, and Keen, and all of our amazing team that are busting their asses off, giving you unique perspectives of the world of pop culture. And while the show is still on hiatus, showrunnerwhisper.com, which is an MOC original, will be back in the very near future, where I take you inside the minds of Hollywood showrunner and what it means to be a showrunner in today's Hollywood and television landscape, especially after the strikes and everything. And I'm also a streamer on Twitch, Kick, and YouTube, so check me out there. And also huge, if anyone who listens to this podcast has been checking out my YouTube videos, this is like the first year in ever where I've actually been consistently releasing videos. So thank you for checking them out. I posted all my Superman Lois advanced reviews. I did my Creature Commandos review as well, which huge shout out to James Gunn, because my Twitter feed is not showing because it's been, he retweeted, and now all I'm getting is so. Thank you for keeping my phone busy, but thank you for everyone checking it out, subscribing there too. So it's fun. It's very appreciative. But yeah, that's gonna be it. You can find all the things to the podcast in the show notes below. And yeah, we're wishing you all happy holidays wherever you are in the world, and hope you're enjoying Creature Commandos. And we'll see you on the next one. Peace.